everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Michelle Ali Murati. I'm the marketing manager for Tightrope Media Systems for our Cablecast community media team. This is our Cablecast technical training webinar on video overlays. So if that's where you were trying to end up, you are in the right place. I am getting messages here that we are at capacity. So if some of you are at a station where multiple people in the same building are trying to view this webinar, could you all maybe like go to the same computer and share? That will help us out so that more people can experience this live webinar. If you know of someone at your station that is not in your same location, is trying to access this and is not able to get in, they will be receiving a recording of the webinar. So we will be including people. If you registered at all, you will receive the recording. We are excited for the amount of interest that we have had for this. So before we get started today, I just want to go through a couple announcements and some housekeeping. First of all, we had a release today. I know many of you that are on with us are current Cablecast end users or dealers. So I want to let everybody know, in case you didn't receive any of the other announcements that went out, that we did release officially Cablecast Screenweave this week, which is the set of applications for tvOS or Apple TV and Roku. So now our Cablecast VOD and Cablecast Live folks can use this application, Cablecast Screenweave, through your Cablecast Reflect subscription. So lots to unpack there, I guess. First of all, Cablecast Reflect, those of you who aren't using it or haven't heard of it, it is a bandwidth management subscription. It's optional that you can get with us that helps you when you're delivering video on demand content or live content, so that it doesn't put as much, it doesn't tax your local network as much when you're distributing web content. And now, as an added free feature with your Cablecast Reflect subscription, you can also deliver your video on demand and live streaming content over the top to Apple TV and Roku devices. That Ryan is showing the page that we have that explains Cablecast Screenweave on our website, and that's cablecast.tv/screenweave. So you can check out more there. And as you can see, Steve is waiting by to answer your questions if you have them. We're happy to help you out there. So that's our big announcement of the day. And if you currently have a VOD or live server or both, as well as a Cablecast Reflect subscription, you can go ahead and get in our queue to have support activate this service for you. Moving on to today's webinar, those of you who have done a webinar with us before, we're using the same platform, GoToWebinar, and in your control panel, you will see there is a question box, and you can put your questions in at any time, but we will be addressing those after the presentation. So go ahead, as you think of it, put your questions in, and then after we get through Ryan's presentation, we will have our Q&A portion of the webinar, and we will address questions that are directly relating to video overlay first, and then we will move on to general questions. Additionally, as I mentioned before, we are recording this, so if you are joining us today and want to be able to reference it again, you will automatically be receiving a recording of this webinar. Also, folks who weren't able to join us will be getting a recording if they registered automatically. For folks who didn't register, we will be posting a slightly edited version of the webinar on our website. That is, we usually get rid of the Q&A part and just put the presentation on the website in the webinar section of cablecast.tv. So without further ado, I will go ahead and turn you over to Ryan Hickok, who is our Cablecast training specialist, and he's going to review the video overlay feature in Cablecast for you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. So like Michelle said, my name is Ryan. I am the training technician or specialist or whatever you want to call myself for our Cablecast team. over here. So I've probably worked with a few of you, probably helped you with installs and general trainings and stuff. But today we're going to be talking about a very specific feature that is probably, we get a lot of questions about, especially with within support and things like that. And it's the video overlay functionality that we have. So kind of some of the things that we're going to talk about today is that we'll talk about here is what we're going to be learning today. So some of the stuff that we're going to talk about are the different types of overlay that is available and how they can be utilized. So there's a couple different options, and we'll talk about those specifically here in a little while. We'll also talk about where you can go within the user interface to create those overlay graphics. So putting in your text, your bug text, your crawls, things like that. And then we'll also talk about the customization of the style of your graphics and actually turning them on so that they're actually going to be used. That is probably one of the most common questions is the actual customization portion that we get with that. So to kind of start off, is what is the Cablecast video overlay functionality? And basically it gives you the ability to play simple overlay graphics on content playing out of your Cablecast server. We did recently in Cablecast 6.3 that was released not very long ago, did actually add in the feature of being able to do overlay graphics for live content as well. So pre 6.3, you were only having the ability to do overlay graphics, so your bugs, bug text, crawl text, things like that, over content that was playing out of the server, so only video replay stuff. But with the implementation of Cablecast 6.3, we did add some new features within that does give you the ability to set up and configure your system so that you can actually have those same overlay graphics going out over a live video source. We are not going to be talking about the actual setup and the configuration of that live configuration in this webinar. We're going to be more talking about it on the user end level of creating the crawls, how they're used, and then the actual editing of the style. If it is something that you are interested in and getting your system configured so that you can do some of these features with live video sources, that'll be something that we can reach out to support and they can kind of walk you through it, or we can schedule a time with myself where we can go and help you out get that configured and set up. So today we're not going over setup and configuration. We're going to be more talking about the user end side of things with that. So the different things that you can do. So there's 3 different functionalities with the video overlay function that we can do. We can do bug text, which is going to be your static text in the corner. And that is going to be done on the show record level. So anytime a specific show record is played, it's going to have a static bug text. So that would be used for previously recorded on for like your city council meetings, having that in the top right corner. Or in a live situation, you can have a live bug up in the right corner that will say whenever you schedule that live city council meeting, you can have it have a live text in the right corner or whatever it may be in there. Your crawl text is one of the other functionalities that you can do, and that is done on both the show record level as well as independent. So with your show record level, let's say with that live show situation or example, you could have a crawl scrolling across with the call-in number for a live talk show or something like that scrolling on, and that is assigned with that specific live show record. So whenever time that's scheduled, it'll have that crawl text. Or in separate, in the independent setting, let's say you have school closings or severe weather or something along those lines, you can schedule a crawl independently from your show records so that whatever is playing will have that crawl scrolling across the bottom so you can get that notification out. Like I said, such as school closings, severe weather, whatever it may be. The other thing that you can do is a bug graphic. So let's say you have a station logo or a channel logo or something like that. That is all done independently, where that'll be up 24/7 up in your right corner or whatever corner you decide and choose, and that'll be in there. And we'll show you how to kind of set that up as well. The other thing that's really nice with this is you can also customize those graphics. Each channel can be stylized individually. So each channel that you have, so let's say you have a PEG, or your full PEG facility, so you have a public and educational and government channel, and you've got logos for each one of those different channels, you can have a bug graphic for each one of those individual channels. You can then choose your font colors, your style, your fonts themselves for each one individually as well. And we'll talk about that stuff as well and show you the steps on that. So let's take a look. Let's see what we can actually do with this. So I'm going to go over into Cablecast right here. So we are in Cablecast. I believe I am on the latest version of that, which is 6.4. But like I said, some of the newer features, the only real feature included once in 6.3 was the ability to do video overlay on live sources, but the actual functionality of it is going to be exactly the same depending on whatever version of 6 you're on. So there's no improved functionality or whatever with that. So you'll be able to see this in here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about a show record level. So doing that bug text or that crawl text on an individual show record itself. So with that, we're just going to go over to a show record. I'm going to go to my shows, show search, and we're going to call up any one of my show records that I have here. Let's say we're going to do Access SCC from July and August 2014 as an example. So it's going to have all of our information about that show record in here. We're going to have our projects and all that information. Down at the bottom, you're going to see this little section called DSK settings, and that is going to be for your video overlay. So DSK, for a lot of people, stands for downstream keyer and settings. In our situation, the way that our overlay function works, it's not actually a true like downstream keyer. It's basically an overlay functionality. So you're going to see that, but this is where you're going to be able to put this. On the show record level is where we can put in our individual bug text, or we can put in our individual crawl text. So anytime that this show record is scheduled for playback, we can put in a specific text. So like in this case, we have July/August 2014. Or if it was a city council meeting that's replaying, we could say previously recorded on March 24th or whatever it may be. Or if it's that live show, we could just have live as my bug text in there. Anytime that this specific show is scheduled, it will automatically play that bug text or that crawl text that is assigned in there. So bug text is going to be your static. Crawl is going to be where you put in your crawling or your scrolling text at the bottom. So we could say, let's say, check out our website or whatever in there. And that'll scroll across. You'll see that we also have a crawl length. The way that the crawl works is it's going to continually be scrolling across for whatever duration you have. The crawl length is going to default to the full length of that show record. So in this case, this is a 28-minute and 28-second long show. So that crawl will set in there. But let's say we had a city council meeting that had audio issues for the first 5 minutes of the program. Well, I want a crawl that just scrolls across that says, sorry for the inconvenience, we had audio issues, please stay tuned, after 5 minutes audio will be fixed, or something along those lines. I can go in here and set my crawl length to whatever length I want it to. So I could say 5 minutes and 28 seconds or something along those lines. It will start playing, and it will only play for that duration from the start of the program. So you can set a length, and that length is only for the start to the length that you set for it. There isn't a way to have it go on and off. Like, let's say you want it to start and go to play for 5 minutes and then disappear for 10 minutes and then come back and play again for 5 minutes. You don't have that functionality or that flexibility. The crawl length is either going to be for just the duration from the start of the program that you set. So that is setting it up on the individual crawl basis or the individual show record basis. So anytime now, if I put this in here and I schedule show record, let's see, show record number 14, it will have that crawl text and that bug text play and activated out on my channel when it actually is played. So I'm going to hit save down here at the bottom, and we're going to go there. Now that's on the show record level, but when we were also talking, you can do individual crawls independently from your show records. So to do that, if we go to our schedule here, we're going to look at my schedule. You're going to have your shows section, which is going to be where you're actually scheduling all your individual programs and stuff. So if I were to actually schedule, let's just say I want to schedule show record number 14. I put that in there. You'll see that now DSK is highlighted over here on the right-hand side, indicating that I do have some downstream keying, or I have that video overlay information in this record. So anytime that this now plays, it's going to have and activate that video overlay. Now, if I want to do something independently, let's say that example, school closures or severe weather or something along those lines, right up here at the top, you're going to see right next to our channel selection, we're going to have shows, and we're also going to have crawls. Now, if I go and click on my crawls, I'm going to individually be able to create independent crawls. So we can create a new crawl event over here on the right, and it's going to give us all the information that we need to set. When do we want it to start? So if I want this to start at 10 a.m. or something along those lines, so right before school starts or something along those lines, and then I can say, I only want this to run for 2 hours, so on and so forth. We can do that, set that length. And now with my crawl text, I can put in here and type in, this is my crawl. Once I hit save, it's going to have its own individual schedule for that specific crawl. Now, this is going to be independent from anything else. And there is a hierarchy with, let's say that this is going to be playing over the time that another show already has the show level in there. The individual crawl events are going to take precedent over that. It's going to play that, and then it's going to play into the next one. So it's going to go back and forth between there. So your individual crawl events are going to take priority or hierarchy over your other ones in here. But this is a great way to get that specific message out there where you don't have to specifically create it in whatever show record that is being scheduled at that given time. You can just say, I want this out. We have the school closing for this morning, and I put that in there. So that is how you can create those individually. Now, the big question that we get is that's just basically telling the system what you want to be said. Now, how do we set up the style or the positioning? I want to choose my fonts, or I want to choose my colors, or whatever it may be, or upload my own graphic, my own logo for that bug image. Now, that is all done on an application that is living on the server itself. So in this case, we have, if I go back to my desktop of my actual FlexLight video server that I have here, I have a couple channels in here, and there's an application that is running on the desktop called SX Video Overlay app. Now, this is where you can control all of your stylization, control the start and turning on and off your overlay functionality, or whatever it may be in here. So you're going to see that you're going to have notification for each one of your individual channels. So in this case, I've got a channel 15 and I've got a channel 16. So I can set my schedule or my stylization for 15, or I can set my stylization for 16. I can also say, you know what, I want overlay functionality only on 15, but I don't want it on 16. You can also do that by turning on or disabling those specifically as well. So to edit your style, you're going to see that there's a section right here called Style, and we can click on the Edit button. Pretty self-explanatory with explaining that. So here we're going to be editing our style for channel 15. I've got 3 different tabs here, setting up what I'm going to be editing the style for. I've got my crawl, I've got my bug graphic, and I've also got my bug text. So with those crawls, we can set up what our style looks like, our text. I can go and choose my font. I can say font and size, style, if I wanted italic, bold, whatever it may be in there. I can also choose a text color specifically. We also have the ability to do with our crawls, we can do background colors if you wanted to. So if you wanted to have like a little drop shadow in a sense, you can also choose your positioning if you want it across the top or the bottom. You can also adjust your offset. So if this is getting cut off at the bottom of the screen or whatever it may be, you can adjust your offset so that it doesn't get cut off or trimmed. You can also adjust your crawl speed of how fast or slow you want it. We can do text outline. And then also with our crawls, we have the ability to turn on background images and foreground images. So what we can do is we can have this look extra stylized, where we can have it, and rather than just plain text, we can kind of almost have it look like a lower third in a sense with the scrolling text. You can take a look at that. You can upload your own image in there, and you can select your own and you can turn those on or off as well. And so that's with your crawl. Now your bug is going to be your static image in there. You can upload your own image. We can adjust the size, position of where we want it placed. So if I want it in top right, left, bottom right, or left, and then we can also adjust our horizontal and vertical offset with that. If you want to upload your own image, real easy. We can go and click on that and upload. And let's say we want to upload our SCC logo here, and click on that, upload that. And now I'm going to have that as my bug graphic for channel 15. If it is a PNG with a transparent background, it will respect that. So it will look transparent through there. Otherwise, if you just upload an image with like a plain JPEG or something like that, it will be like a white square in the corner. You can change your opacity as well. So if you want it more opaque or have it be solid, you can do that as well with your bug text. Crawl text, you're going to have the same kind of functionality and settings of how you want it to be stylized as in your crawl. So we can change our font, color, positioning, all that to there, change that color, change opacity. We can also do a background rectangle. So being this is just static text in a corner, we can have just basically a black background of any specific color that we want in there. You can also do a background outline. You can also do text outline as well, depending on what kind of text it is and stylization. Choosing your position, setting your offsets as well in that. So that is going to be editing all of your individual styles for each one of those functions. We click on save and it's going to save in here. Now, once we've edited the style, what we actually need to do is we need to activate the overlay functionality. So you'll see here with overlay, right now for both my channels, it's going to be labeled with disabled. So right now, even if I did have text or a show record that had the SX video overlay functionality or the DSK settings in there for overlay or text or crawl or bug text or whatever it may be, it's not going to utilize that. But if I click on my disabled button, it's going to say, what device do I want to use? And you're going to choose use your SX server's built-in output. So that is where it's going to actually turn on. Now it's going to say enabled. And then when a program actually plays, you'll be able to see in here, it's going to actually show you if those programs actually have stuff. It'll actually display in here in like your bug text section, what is actually being displayed on your bug text. Same thing with your crawl in those. So we can turn those on in there. Now with your bug image, there are some additional options for settings on that within there. So we'll turn on our bug in here. So we've got it enabled. But if we go back into our software, we go into settings, system settings, we can go to our channels and we'll choose our channel, let's say channel 15. And there's actually a DSK settings option. What this will do is tell you and set you up with how you want to display your bug graphic. So just the actual bug image in here. Your crawl text and your bug text will still work. This functionality in this setting is only for that bug image. So it's going to tell you how you want it to be displayed. There's a couple options. We can have it be always, so it's always playing throughout, or we can only have it turn on during runs, so when something is actually scheduled or off. So with this, you're going to want to make sure that you turn on with either your always or during runs, so when things are actually scheduled, and it will play out in there, in that settings. So if I hit save there, now if we actually take a look at my graphics, if I had it set up, you're going to see right up here now my bug, because I have that set as enabled, my bug is now on because I set that setting in there. You can also toggle if you wanted to say, you know what, I want these other things in here, but let's say I didn't upload my own bug graphic. And that's one thing that you're going to see there, because if you go and edit, like let's say we edit channel 16, you're going to see that's going to have our little tidy logo in there. So if you enable that, you're probably going to have tidy in the top right corner or top left corner if you haven't gone in here and set. So if you don't want that, but you still want to be able to do the functionality of bug text and crawl text, we can change this over to manual by instead of clicking that, and I can just toggle this off. So if I just don't want the bug in there, or I haven't uploaded my own bug, but I still want bug text and I still want crawl text to work, I can go and turn that manually off. Otherwise, it'll always show it in there if I go and set it to auto in there. So the big thing is with the stylization and being able to set it up, you're going to need physical access to the desktop of your video servers. This is not going to be on your VOD server. It's going to be only on your playback servers. So your Flex line of servers, so your Flex Lite, your Flex 2, your Flex 4, if you're on that line of servers, or if you're older versions of our hardware, so your SX2, SX8 LE, or your SX4, whatever, it's going to be on that server. You're going to need to have access to be able to turn it on and edit the style. And if you do have multiple playback servers, so let's say you have two SX or Flex 2s or something like that, or two Flex 4s, and you've got a very large station where you're having multiple channels, you're going to need to set those styles on each one of those video servers. So it isn't going to be system-wide or in a sense like that. You have to do it for each one of the channels or each one of the servers that is going to be playing out content for that specific channel. So just be mindful, make sure that you're setting that up and making it similar so that everything is consistent style-wise in there. All right, with that being said, that is pretty much video overlay in a nutshell. The biggest thing that we run into is this part, is the actual scheduler creating the content, editing the style, and turning it on in there. And that is all done on the application that is running on the desktop of the video server. So make sure you have access to that, whether you're team viewing in or you've got a monitor and keyboard and mouse plugged in and all that, and you're able to actually edit and turn on and enable that.